We have Patrick. Pronouns are he, him in Florida. Wants to talk a little bit about ESP. So welcome, Patrick.
Hey, Matt, how's it going? Watching the show for, I don't know, the past year and a half or so. The subject of ESP doesn't seem to come up too often. And when it does, it seems like it's dismissed like as hooey, like right away.
Well, I'm going to dismiss it right away because this thing's been tested over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And in the entire history of the world, no one's ever demonstrated the actual phenomenon that they're claiming exists. So at what point after, like, for example, the James Rand Educational Foundation had $1 million prize and nobody ever collected it, and ESP would have qualified, and they tested many, many people. So how long do you have to test something before it's okay to just say, until I get new evidence, that's some bullshit?
I mean, that's fair. But like, I don't know. I've been meditating since I was like 13 years old. I'm 35 now, and I've just made, a lifetime worth of observations through what you would call ESP. And I mean, I have to admit that it's a possibility that it's just in my head, but holy shit, what a persistent hallucination I've been having.
So what observation have you made? You say you made observations through ESP. What's an observation through ESP? What is that?
Being able to detect, be aware of things with the like your sensory system shouldn't be able to give you that information. Like somebody else's state of well-being, their emotional state, over a distance.
That's just intuition.
What was that?
You don't need some sort of supernatural powers to be able to tell that somebody's not doing well.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need to have ESP to detect mothers with postpartum depression. So what is it that you're using ESP to detect, and what process are you using to verify that your information is actually correct?
Well, I mean, nothing outside of my own self. I mean, through meditation, you can.
I'm sorry, Patrick.
Off your
I'm sorry, Patrick. I'm sorry, Patrick, but if you really cared whether or not this was true, you would absolutely be doing things outside of yourself. If I want to know if I'm experiencing something that's real or a delusion, one of the first things I'm going to do is get other people to investigate this claim on my behalf. So how can you sit here and pretend that ESP is being dismissed too quickly when your only investigation of it is through personal reflection? You've done no testing, no independently verified anything. You seem to just be sitting around speculating. What's an assumption?
Patrick, you know what Christians call this? Christians have a thing for this too, except they call it discernment. They think it's a spiritual gift called a discerning spirit. I grew up in that atmosphere. Yep. And it's the same thing. Like, God gives you hints that so-and-so is struggling with something. And you can even go to that person like, hey, I feel like you're having a hard time with something. And then that other believer will be like, oh, praise God. He gave you the ability to detect that and has sent you my way. Like, it's the same shit. It is the same fucking thing. It's just a different word. And all it is intuition, like I said.
So what was
There's nothing to suggest it's anything other than that.
Are you familiar with like the standard table of particles? You know, like the chart shows the electron, protons, the associated gluons.
Standard table of particles. Are you talking about the table of elements?
Periodic table.
No, that's the periodic table. The standard table of particles.
I'm not familiar with the standard table of particles.
Okay, it's when you smash things in that particle accelerator, like at CERN, they've observed a variety of different types of particles besides what we consider to normally be matter. But like, I'm gonna go ahead and assert that like your aura, chakra system, all that hooey, is actually physical, but it's matter that's smaller than what we normally consider to be matter. And
no,
I know you're not a physicist.
Stop. Stop.
Is
Please
it even
stop.
Neither are you.
Stop. Please stop. First of all, you accused me of making an assumption. What was the assumption?
That I hadn't tested anything.
I specifically asked you what you'd done to test it, and your response was that you'd done nothing outside of yourself. How dare you accuse me of fucking assuming that you hadn't done anything to test it when I was literally responding to you actually telling me that you hadn't done anything to test it outside of yourself?
Okay, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
What I mean is that I've tested it myself, like by checking what my assumption is or what I'm thinking it is by asking the person I'm interacting with and getting confirmation.
That's still entirely anecdotal.
You have to do that before.
There's no data to support that.
Patrick, what is it that you claim to be able to do? And let's develop a test for it right now. What is it that you claim to be able to do?
Develop a test for it. Okay. I mean, empathy, feeling people's emotions.
Okay. So what emotions, how do you tell what someone's emotions are? And how do you determine if you're correct?
Well, you have to, like I said, compartmentalize your own emotions, make sure it doesn't interfere with what you're reading, and then kind of observe, bring your attention and your intention towards the person and observe.
Do you have to be in the same room with them? Do you have to be in the same room with them? Do you have to be looking at them? Could you be blindfolded? Would you let me finish my fucking question? Could you be blindfolded in a completely different room and read people's emotions?
Yes.
Cool. How do you then verify that what you? How do you then verify that what? Jesus fucking Christ! Can I finish a sentence? How do you then verify that what you think you read is accurate?
By asking them.
Okay. I have someone in the other room of my house here. Go ahead, do some empathy reading and tell me what their emotional state is.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I can't do that right now.
Cool.
And give you
Call me back when you can. Call me back when you can.